Live from the No Panic Zone, I'm Steve Gruber. I am America's voice. Look, I am an anti-communist because I was educated when I grew up, all right? I was educated to understand the destruction of socialists and communists and Marxists. That's why every day we're here to defend America and fight for it. Are you in? Here's three big things you need to know right now. Number one, a brilliant move by conservative PACs sending millions of dollars to conservative candidates elected to school boards all over America. It's important. Number two, there are more and more red flags today that the economy headed for a brutal recession that's going to pound Americans and millions around the world. Number three, the Democrat Party today is in real, genuine trouble. As I've been telling you for a very long time, the party that has been hijacked by radical socialists could soon become little more than a regional party after a couple of election cycles. You can bet on it. I'm not making some wild-eyed prediction based on my political preferences, but I am staking the claim that Americans have had all the progressive ideas they can take right now. They're also tired of the feeble behavior of Joe Biden, and they have an even lower opinion of Kamala Harris, if that's possible, but it's true, as you know. Those are the facts. As the Democrats, which in large part are now just a collection of far-left, alt-left radical socialists who want to denigrate and smear their neighbors if they don't think you can leave the border open, fire all the police officers, and let 5-year-olds pick what gender they want to be off a list of dozens, then there's something wrong with you. It seems at some point that kind of insanity does finally reveal itself to those that retain the ability to think outside of the herd of sheep and establish independent and critical ideas based on what they have learned along the way in their lives. It seems, as I have told you, the majority of Americans are not interested in social justice when they can't put gas in their car without taking food off the table. They're not interested in hearing about illegal aliens getting smartphones for free, a food court, and a hotel to stay in when they have to decide between paying the rent and getting the high blood pressure medicine they need to avoid having a stroke. They've had their fill of hearing about how awful their country is, and if they're white or conservative, and therefore are acting white, that they are to blame for anything and everything that has gone wrong in the lives of people they've never met. They don't believe people should be chosen or rejected based simply on the color of their skin. They're tired of being dragged into classes so they can be lectured about being racist just because they're white. And nobody bothered to ask what color their kids actually are anyway. Are they really racist? They are overhearing that as parents, they really don't know what they're doing. And the local school board has more sense on how to raise their kids than they do. They're all done with being told it's not fair to put criminals, and often violent criminals, in jail and leave them there, whether they can make bail or not, because they actually think the people who commit the crimes should be the ones who pay for those crimes. It's a crazy list, I know, but Americans are tired of anything. They're tired of anything goes with no consequences. Unless you're a pro-life dad that wants to protect his kids from an unruly radical activist that declares it's the woman's right to kill a baby in the womb, up to maybe past the child's day of birth, of course. You see, they're also sick and tired of gazillionaires flying around on private jets and setting out on opulent yachts while wagging their bony, privileged fingers at everyone else for using gasoline to get home and oil to heat their homes. And they're sick and tired of the socialists shipping billions of dollars to other countries for God only knows what. But they do not support tens of billions for a war which they have not seen a plan or understand why we are there. They are oversending American troops into harm's way in countries on the other side of the world when there seems to be nothing in it for us, nothing at all. They do not want a war in Ukraine, and they certainly don't want a war with Russia. Which brings me back to the exodus from the Democrat Party by millions of people. And yes, I said millions. Because whether or not they've made it official, these people are going to consummate their divorce with Joe Biden and the socialists in the Democrat Party on November 8th. The divorce party is coming. On Tuesday, someone who thinks just like a whole lot of them gave them all a permission slip to say, you know what? This is not my parents' Democrat Party. I'm out. That's right. Tulsi Gabbard came out and carpet bombed the liberals, and they cannot stand it. So, of course, they did trash her for telling the truth but she had them nailed on every point. If you missed it, you need to hear it. Here it is.
I can no longer remain in today's Democratic Party that's under the complete control of an elitist cabal of warmongers who are driven by cowardly wokeness, who divide us by racializing every issue and stoking anti-white racism, who actively work to undermine our God-given freedoms that are enshrined in our Constitution, who are hostile to people of faith and spirituality, who demonize the police but protect criminals at the expense of law-abiding Americans, who believe in open borders, who weaponize the national security state to go after their political opponents, and above all, who are dragging us ever closer to nuclear war. Now, I believe in a government that's of the people, by the people, and for the people. Unfortunately, today's Democratic Party does not. Instead, it stands for a government that is of, by, and for the powerful elite. Now, I'm calling on my fellow common sense, independent-minded Democrats to join me in leaving the Democratic Party. If you can no longer stomach the direction that the so-called woke Democratic Party ideologues are taking our country, then I invite you to join me.
There it is, warmongers, elites. Time to go, folks. Time to go. Time to tell the truth about the Democrat Party. Tulsi Gabbard, former presidential candidate, a member of the Democrat Party, a member of Congress from Hawaii. So I can tell you I am not joking about the Democrats being little more than a regional party in a couple of election cycles, because after they lose 35 seats or more in the House and 2 to 5 seats in the Senate, which they're going to, the implosion of the party begins to pick up speed, because Joe Biden is not going to suddenly be a credible or even lucid chief executive after the vote. And the Democrats will be on the fast track to get destroyed far worse in 2024. Why? Well, they have far more Senate seats to defend in 2 years. And whether it's Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis or Glenn Youngkin or someone else at the top of the ticket, it doesn't matter. The Republicans are going to crush the alt-left socialist crowd and reject finally and fully the whole list of items I just covered and more. It's almost a certainty. It's almost a certainty. But don't worry. The Democrats will try several major things to change the narrative, but those dishonest distractions will be less effective than they are today. Because people have had their fill. They know the dirty tricks. They know the distractions. They lived through COVID-19. All of us did. And as a result of that, we're smarter, we're wiser, we're up to the task to say, you know what, we're done with this game. All done with this game. We're going to have more on this after the break. Less than a month to go now. What are we, 27 days out? 27 days from the general midterm elections? Well, let me tell you, my friends, things are going to change then and again in 2 years. A regional party, the Democrats, will be out. Continue the explanation in a moment here on the Steve Gruber Show.